friends, it's Mari. Welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be doing a card process here for you today using this really gorgeous Concord and Ninth stamp and die set called Grateful for Everything. It's a beautiful set. I really love it, and I'm going to be using the floral and foliage stamp there for my card. I'm taking a piece of Fabriano Artistico watercolor paper here. I've got it in my MISTI and I'm treating it with some antistatic powder using my EK Success antistatic powder tool. And now I'm going to stamp the image out with some Versamark ink onto that watercolor paper. That antistatic tool just allows for the embossing powder to only stick to the ink. Now this embossing powder I'm using here that I just showed you is a Brutus Monroe embossing powder. It's called Gilded. It's really pretty. It's a beautiful gold. And I'm going to just get it onto that Versamark ink by spreading it across there. And then I'll just heat it up with my heat tool to melt it. And now it's just going to create these really great channels for some watercoloring. I'm using my Gansai Tambi watercolor palette here. You can just see it on the left of the screen there. And I'm just going to be doing a little bit of really simple watercoloring. I've taped my watercolor paper down here to a wooden clipboard. You can't see the top part of the clipboard, but it's off to the right, off camera. And now I'm just going to go ahead and use my number 2 silver watercolor brush here to just go ahead and do some really basic watercoloring. I am going to put some music on during this process for you to watch. I have wet the areas before I've applied the paint to them, just to allow that paint to flow a little bit in those little heat embossed channels, which is just a really great way to control where the water and the paint goes on your project. So I'm going to just turn on some music here for you and let you go ahead and watch. And I will put the time signature up here for when the watercoloring is done if you want to skip ahead. See you back. When I was working on those leaves, the foliage parts around the blooms, what I tried to do is go in and add some of the colors that might sort of be like in fall leaves into the leaves, like a little bit of yellow on the leaves and a little bit of that really pretty pink and so on, just in a very subtle way to kind of give it a little bit of a fall look. Now I'm just taking a product it's a golden fluid acrylic iridescent gold deep acrylic paint. I just placed that onto my block and I watered it down, and then I'm just taking a brush and I'm just flicking it off of the block onto the whole card. So it doesn't really matter to me where it goes on the card. It's just going to be kind of around it and on the flowers and so on. It just looks really pretty and shiny. Now I'm taking some Tim Holtz metallic paper and I've cut that out. I've sized it down for an A2 size card front. And now I'm just going to size down my watercolor piece as well. And I'm going to use that gold metallic paper to mat my little painted piece. I thought I might use this really rich, deep rose-colored cardstock as my card base, but I just thought it was maybe a little bit too bright. I wanted it to be more of a subtle color, so I ended up using this green. It's actually called Always Artichoke, I think. It's a Stampin' Up cardstock. Not sure if they still have that color, but this is from my stash. I used to be a Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I literally have hundreds of papers of 8.5 by 11 cardstock, so I'm trying to use that up in my card making process as much as possible. And I really love this color. I think it goes nicely with my card. Now I am going to back that metallic paper with some 1/2 inch 3M double-sided foam adhesive, and that'll just pop my card front up on my card base a little bit. Just taking that release paper off the back of that foam adhesive, and I'm going to try to center this as best I can onto my card base to finish up the card before I do a little bit of embellishing. Now I'm going to run the dies from the Stampin' Die set with the sentiment through my Big Shot onto some black cardstock. Now I did find this was a little bit too bold, and so off camera I end up cutting that out again in that Always Artichoke color, and I actually adhered the Always Artichoke over the black, and it kind of just gave it a little bit of a black outline, and you can see that in the still shots at the end of the video. So I really liked how that kind of toned the black down, but yet kind of left it there a little bit as an outline behind the Always Artichoke, and I like how it kind of just adds a little bit of pop to the front of the color, to the card, sorry. So now what I wanted to do is add a few other little embellishments here. I don't really consider the sentiment an embellishment. So I wanted to add some pretty pink Posh sparkling clear sequins in a few different sizes onto my card front. So I'm just going to add 3 to the top, diagonally across from each other, 3 to the bottom. And I'm just going to glue those down with a little bit of liquid adhesive. And I'm going to use my Silhouette Pick-Me-Up tool and some tweezers, I think maybe, or maybe even just the top of my Pick-Me-Up tool here to help me place those down. And like I said, just using a little bit of liquid adhesive to glue those onto my card. I really like how this card turned out. I love to use watercolors on my cards. It's a lot of fun. And when you do the heat embossing and add the watercolor into those heat emboss channels, it does make it a lot easier to watercolor. I don't think watercoloring is a difficult medium to use at any rate, but the embossing just makes it that much easier to control. Thank you so much for stopping by. Make sure that you leave me a comment. If you like my video, I would love it if you would click the like button below. And if you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you as a new subbie on my channel. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subbies on my channel by the end of 2019. I'm getting close, and I would love to have you as a subscriber. Thank you so much, guys. Have an amazing day, and I hope to see you here another time on my channel. Have a great day. Bye-bye.